So we are myfamily.house, and what we do is we set up people to make money like a bank, right? So what our whole system is based off of is the fact that the most stable and secure financial system in America is based on banks, right? You look at different companies and different investment systems and all those different things that exist. They go up and they go down, and okay, cool, it's great to buy real estate now, or now's a bad market, or all right, now try and get into Bitcoin. This is the hot thing now. All those things happen all the time. All the while, it's a very stable idea and knowledge that banks are the ones that really have the money. Banks are the ones that continue to make their money and that continue to exist and to, thrive in any situation. The reason for that is because banks have a long-term plan, right? Banks are the ones who have the money. People, need that money to be able to do whatever they're trying to do, to live, to buy new businesses, to buy their house, to do whatever. And the bank gives it to them and then collects interest. So everything they do is very long-term. They have all the money and they're using that to make more money. That's what that system is. And that's what we do for our clients, is we make them into private real estate banks. And that way they're the ones who are making the money from the money that they're lending to different people, right? So I want to talk to you a little bit about the different types and different ways of investing. Right. So when it comes to making money, there's four primary, categories, you could say, in the way you make money. You have being an employee, where you are exchanging your hours for money from a company. You have being self-employed, where you're still exchanging your time for money, but you're exchanging it with different clients or with someone who is going to be giving you that money. So now you're your own boss, but you're still limited by the amount of time you have to the amount of money you can make. So then you have owning a business, where you have different employees, and those employees are what makes you your money. So now you've gotten out of the hour to money ratio, and now you've gone into your employees that make you your money. There's still a lot of attention you need to put into these businesses, because if you don't have enough control on that company, it can just fall into the ground, and then you can lose all of your investment, all your time, or whatever you put into that company. So then you have the fourth one. The fourth one is the one that's really important, and that's where you are an investor, where your money is making you more money. You're now not having to worry about what you're doing with your time, or if you want to take off 3 months to be with your kids or to go on vacation, or you're not worried about retiring and then not being able to have enough to make it towards the end. You have money, and that money is making your money. So what you do with your time is up to you. You can play whatever games or whatever things you do that make you enjoy life. So then with investing, there are still a couple of pitfalls you have to worry about. There is the types of investing that are very volatile, that aren't stable or steady, right? So you have things like stock, and you have currencies, and you have arts and antiquities and these sorts of things. The problem with some of these things is that they are very iffy. The value of a stock, you don't really own anything here, so that value could go up and it could go down. The amount of money you make is based off of someone else losing their money. So you could always be the next person that's going to lose their money. And I'm sure you can think of, or either have experience yourself of losing money with stocks or with currencies or anything like that. So for me, this is not so good, because it doesn't really give me a way to just continue to exist into the future and not have to worry about it. So then there's the other type of investing, which is really being self-employed, right? So that's where you're taking a lot of your own money and you're buying something, but now you have to sell that. And if you can't sell that, then you lose whatever money you put into it. So if you have a company you're buying something overseas, you're buying a bunch of cars overseas, and then you're getting them shipped over here, you're going to a dealership or going to individual people, and now you're selling to them. Yeah, you made an investment because you bought those cars, but you're not really an investor. You're self-employed. You're now in the car business, right? So real estate is very similar. You have renting and flipping, and when you're renting or when you're flipping, yes, you're buying a property and that can be considered an investment property, but in reality, you're a landlord. Now your job and now your time is taken up by your tenants, by listening to their calls, by having to argue with them on whether or not the house should be repainted, whether it's you who's going to pay that or the person who's going to pay that, or if there's a dishwasher or a laundry machine that gets broken, who's going to have to be responsible? And you're having to take all your time to deal with these people, right? So you're a landlord, you're not an investor. Same with flipping, right? So flipping, you're buying that property, but now you have to get it fixed up. Now you have to think about the budget. You have to do all of your research in the area, in the neighborhood, figure out, okay, is this the right neighborhood? What are the comparables? What are these models? You're having to do all this additional work, right? So again, you're not actually an investor, you're a flipper, right? And you spend all of your time flipping houses and getting quotes and possibly having to do work yourself if that property goes under mortgage or goes over value or over budget. So this still, you're not really in a place where you can then go and vacation for 6 months and come back to more money, right? So you're still not really set up correctly, because the goal for anyone who's living their life and who's trying to succeed in life is to, work for some time and put your time, your money, and your effort into something. But then to make enough money, you can put that in a system that will then cover your expenses. And that way you can then start to live the life that you want to live, the life that you wanted to live when you were, 15 years old, or whatever dreams you have, you can actually achieve those. You can stay home with your family or retire or whatever. So the system that we've created is a true investment plan, right? We have two companies, right? We have My Family House, right? And you have My Trust. Okay, so what we have here is we have a company that's going to sell you your house. Not just going to sell you the house, they're going to do all the research. They're going to make sure these are good houses to buy, figure out all expenses that are required, right? And this company liaisons with My Trust. So when they sell you a house, they're already finding out if there were any repairs that were needed. They're finding out the condition of the house. They're finding out, if there were any back taxes. The price you get is an all-in price. For that price, My Trust will be hired, and they will then go into that house and mow the lawn and take out the trash, anything that's necessary to sell it, right? We're not getting these houses up to a point where this isn't like flipping, where you're buying a house at $30,000, putting $40,000 into it, and then selling it, trying to sell it for $100,000, where you make like a $20,000 profit after a year of your time and effort. What we're doing here is we're just doing a little bit, just enough to get someone who's able to live in there, right? So we have My Family House as the wholesaler and My Trust, who's the servicing company. And what we're doing is we're setting you up to be a private real estate investor. You're buying these houses and you own them, but the thing that's important is that you're now loaning a family enough money to buy that house from you, right? You're loaning it to them with that asset. So you're getting interest on that loan for the next 20 years, right? You have a stable way. The next 20 years, you're just getting money every month. And at the same time, if anything were to happen, you're secured. You have an actual asset that if anything were to happen with the person who's paying you, you get that asset back and you can just go ahead and resell it again and continue to make that interest for forever, really, right? And this is very different than renting, because when you rent, you have a tenant, but it's your house. So you're responsible for the condition of that house, making sure it stays livable, for all those sort of things. When you're selling a house to someone, right, you're now the bank. And how many times have you called your bank to say, hey, bank, my dishwasher is now broken. Can you come and fix it? Like, it's not their problem, because they are just the person who owns the house in the loan, right? So I want to break down for you what it actually looks like. On this loan, right? So you're buying a house on average for about $30,000, right? This house. Little door. Made a strange door because it's a special house. So you have this house, You're selling it to a family for $40,000, right? We do all this for you. You buy the house. We're going in, maintaining the property to make sure it looks nice enough to have someone buy it, and then you're selling it to this person, right? This isn't just a person; it's a family, right? So you're selling it to this family for $40,000. And you're selling it to them not for cash. You're not selling it actually, because most times you say you're selling it to a family, but really you're selling it to a bank. And then that bank over here, the family now has to pay off that loan that they gave them, right? So in this case, you're selling it to them directly. So instead of getting $40,000 up front, you are making monthly payments. And let's say it's probably going to be about $500, right? That's not an exact number, that's just an approximate. So you're actually getting $500 a month on that property for the next 20 years, right? So because and this is on a 12% loan, so there's a lot of interest that comes into it. And because of the way this works, what it means is that, so I'm going to put 12% here for 20 years, or 240 payments. That ends up being $105,750. All right. So if you were to take out, your initial investment, that's the way you calculate the return on investment, then you end up with a rate of about 220%. Right. That's an incredible advantage on your money. All the while, you were the bank here, so you didn't have to do anything. Right. The only thing that can happen is that this family moves into that house and they live in it for let's say 3 years, which means that you've gotten about $20,000 back from that property so far, and then that family refinances. They want a better loan than 12%. They then get a bank to pay you the rest of the money that's owed, which is usually around, it's probably, well, you've gotten $20,000 back, most of that's interest, so the actual amount that's owed has gone down maybe $5,000, and then you get your $20,000 plus you get another $35,000, which is still much more than that $30,000 that you actually bought the house for. So you've made an incredible return, right? The other thing that can happen is if the family were to, let's say, default. We have a very, very low default rate, and I'll go a little bit into that. But if the family were to default, then at that case, you've made $20,000 so far. You now just get the asset back, right? You've made $20,000. That's your money scot-free, and then you can sell it again to a new family for $40,000. Continue the motion, right? Because that's how banks actually make their money. It's not just on the loan that they're giving. It's because they have a way of recouping whatever is owed to them no matter what. So they're going to collect the interest for however long they can get that interest from that person. And, if you have a credit card and then, you have to go and, you end up not paying it, they can sell it to a debt company. Or if they have a loan on a car, and you stop paying, they can take that car back and sell it to someone else. But those things you're not really getting all of your money back because now you're having to sell it at a much lower way. With this, we have a house. So that house is actually increasing in value. So when you get it back, you can sell it for more and sell it for more. All the while, you're getting a stable, $500 a month per property coming out, right? So this is the real system that anyone should really be getting into. If you're in something else, it's because you're trying to find something to do with your time. It's because you want to spend all of your time on whatever you're doing. If you want to spend your time doing, playing golf or going on vacation or spending time with your family or whatever job you are currently in that you love, then you would take your money and you put in a system like this where it just continues to churn you money, where you become a bank and you become a stable fixture of financial security, right? That's the way that the company is built, and that's the model that we have. I want to go a little bit into the actual selling of the house, right? Because when we deal with owner financing, we're dealing specifically with people who cannot qualify for a normal house, right? So these people generally have bad credit, right? Bad credit is something that makes a lot of people afraid. They go, oh, well, if they have bad credit, then why would I want to sell them a house? The simple fact is probably half of your friends currently have bad credit, right? Because your credit can be bad because you have too much of your credit cards being used. It can be from a student loan. It can be from when you were 18 and you took a loan for a car and then didn't pay it off. Any number of things can ruin your credit. But those don't really make a representation of whether or not that person can pay off the loan that they owe you, right? So when you have a family who is applying for our houses, right? We're going out there and we're putting ads, we're putting ads, we're putting ads. We get all these people coming to our company, right? And when these people apply for the house, because it sounds great, you can own a house for $700 a month, for $500 a month. We specifically are trying to help people, right? We're trying to help a certain type of person. That's a person who is able, right? But just can't buy a house. So we're actually going in, and every person who's applying, we're going and we're checking with their landlord for the past 5 years. We're checking with their job to make sure they have a stable job, make enough money. We're talking to them, making sure that they're someone who's capable. And that's why we have a really low default rate of about 3% or so. And the reason why is because we are finding out these families that are good, strong Americans who are able and who are willing to succeed, but just haven't figured out how to yet. So our system is set there as the way for them to succeed. So while you are making a lot of money and you're making stable money, you're also helping to build America. And that's what our company is really about, is to help rebuild America, to help have more owners, because that helps the economy, because those people who own houses, they spend more money on their houses, on fixing them up, on keeping them stable, on the schools they're sending their kids to. And in that way, we're able to actually continue to build our country up as we ourselves are continuing to build ourselves up as financial stability. So the direct thing for you to do right now is to go to, a URL for you. My family house slash, I'm not sure you can see that, slash myfamily.house/payment. So when you go to this URL, you're going to see a link for you to put down a $500 deposit. Normally our deposit is $1,000, but the point of the deposit is the properties that we're showing to you. We get these lists of thousands and thousands of foreclosed homes. We go over these lists every month, and we are checking them out to make sure that the numbers make sense. Then we're going a step further, and we're actually calling the counties, and we're calling the inspectors and making sure that there's no code violations and there's no back taxes, that we know exactly what the situation is. Then we're going again, and we're actually sending an in-person inspector to these houses to make sure that these houses are actually good and that they're qualified, and that they don't have a missing roof or don't have a giant hole in the floor, and that they're able to actually be sold and lived in by a family. So in order for us to do all this work, we need to know that the people who are showing these to are serious people. So we ask for a $500 refundable deposit. It's 100% refundable. All it does is it shows us that you're serious enough about this opportunity, so that when we show you a package, it's a package you can actually go, yeah, this is something I can do something with. And then that way we can present it to you, and then we can sell you those houses and start the system so you can start making money like a bank, right? So I want everyone to go to myfamily.house/payment and fill out that form. Then we'll be in touch with you, and we will help start you on your way to financial stability and freedom. And I'll see you guys later.